See what happens. At the bottom right, he took down Solar 2-0, playing his own style, marching to the beat of his own drum. He's for Mouse. It's HeRoMaRinE.
And his opponent spawning up at the top left at a 2-1 scoreline, performing very well so far for the Shopify Rebellion. She is Scarlett.
Steadfast. It's kind of funny as we get into this series, as we're looking at things. I told you I talked to Scarlett Saturday or Sunday, getting into Katowice, and first of all, she was talking about prepping for VT because you know, decent amount of Terrans in general, but she had choice things to say about HeRoMaRinE, and a lot of them, it's kind of funny because I was watching that Solar series. A lot of them have come true. HeRoMaRinE is gonna play Cyclone Mech, which kind of the first thing she said, which we saw. He went. We saw Maru use it against Raynor, certainly, and that wasn't totally clear. Maru has that mech gene in him, but we're not totally sure what's going to happen. But we saw HeRoMaRinE do that against Solar. He won a game. Scarlett has been prepping for that in some way, shape, or form. And the other thing that she told me was that he was probably going to be a little bit better than his previous results had been. And I think sitting here at 3-0 in Group A Steadfast, I think that one also bears things out just a little bit.
Yeah, and this is going to be minuscule. This is for the stats nerds out there and the nerds that know about those little timings. Both players really sharp on their timings with their first structures. I know this is going to seem silly and minuscule, and it is, but Scarlett got down a 112 pool timing off of Hatch Gas Pool, which is, you know, the optimal. That is 1 second faster than the average. That means she was pairing her workers really well. And HeRoMaRinE got the 138 command center, which is also optimal. So both players pairing those workers very nicely, boosting them well. And just wanted to give that little shout out that they're both doing that optimal thing. And it's nice to see going into this matchup, and it is reflective of their positions in the group. It means they're both quite on point with the early game.
No, they are, but you talk about the early game, it's nice to have a really good start. This drone is gonna go down, times it perfectly on the charge. You talked in the last series about stun locking a Cyclone so it dies. Well, it's more common to see Terrans try to do that in this matchup, and HeRoMaRinE pulls it off with aplomb, with pizzazz in this game number one. But it's nice. It's nice to get a early timing. Absolutely, it's fantastic. What I'm equally as curious about is where these players go in the mid game. Yeah, we saw the Cyclone Mech coming out of HeRoMaRinE in game one, sure, but we also saw him go for a wild single eBay 8 racks that Solar was not ready for in game two. Scarlett's been talking about this mass Hydra into Infestor type of idea that apparently has been dominating Gun in their practice sessions. Both of these players, not just kind of playing a little against the meta, they are very, they're playing very idiosyncratic. But for now, HeRoMaRinE, it's a 3cc. It's not anything truly groundbreaking. Getting that early, getting his natural down on time is really nice. Getting that even a little early is really nice. But it doesn't tell us a lot about where he's thinking about going from here necessarily.
No, it's there's a lot of things still open. It is going to be 3cc Banshee, which is the safest way to play, and does go into that Cyclone Mech very well. There is... Both players are definitely the kinds of players that love going for little innovation. Scarlett was the first one to go Hydraling Bane in, you know, the very early stages. She actually used it to beat Innovation, for example, many years ago. So neither player is unfamiliar with being avant-garde, with being a trendsetter. We do see these two queens getting very low on HP. She's got to be a little bit careful with these, especially with one of them getting off creep. Good job from HeRoMaRinE sniping a creep tumor right there, and a great little grenade. Oh, okay. Oh, well, that was...
You got it.
That's something that is very funny. So he killed his own Reaper. Didn't quite do the quick maths on that one, but does get the creep tumor, which is, I suppose, good. That's a bit of a mistake, but a very funny one. It's minor, but it means no more grenades, which is a little bit unfortunate. Nice snipe right there from Scarlett. Grabs one of those queens. Nice, or one of those Hellions. Nice job right there with the Evo Chamber morph. Obviously, she wasn't quite in position to build the hatchery, So I like that very heads up play. And HeRoMaRinE is going to be going for what he experienced success against Solar with and has been doing quite a bit of. And that is going to be the 3cc Banshee into that battle mech that we alluded to.
That it is, but I wonder. So Solar, I didn't talk to Solar leading into Katowice. I don't know. But I don't know how prepared Solar was necessarily for that Cyclone battle mech thing that we saw HeRoMaRinE pull out.
He's played against HeRoMaRinE doing it quite a few times, actually. HeRoMaRinE's done it to him at least 2 separate series before this.
On the current patch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Solar actually handled him both times. He actually beat him both times. I think this is the first time that, I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first time that HeRoMaRinE has actually beaten Solar in a professional match with that battle mech.
All right. Well, I'll take that one. I was going to say, I don't know how much prep Solar had for him. Like, we know Scarlett is aware of this, but yeah, apparently he's got it done. So good news there is we're going to see this pressure on the bottom side. Double cloaked Banshee, Hellions as well, trying to get damage on these things maybe, but there is detection there, so that's not going to be all that effective. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is Scarlett is going into that mass Hydra style. 1-1 Hydrogen done very quickly.
Ooh.
Hydras are great against Cyclones. Hydras are great against Banshees, as the Queen will fall. One thing Steadfast they're not very good against is a bunch of Hellions. Certainly not with, say, Blue Flame or something. They just dive on top and it's a lot of damage done very quickly. So Scarlett she's going to have to do more than just pure Hydra, I think. I understand that that's kind of her new hotness, but once she realizes that this is just properly next, this transfusions are really, really nice. And the damage is going to continue to pile on top. The Queens are falling down. Banshee will fall. And that is
losing 2 Banshees.
All the energy on those Queens, and there's not a lot here to defend right now. Hydras are being made, and losing those Banshees is painful, absolutely. But HeRoMaRinE was very close to breaking through just in its entirety.
While Scarlett is starting to add those Hydras on, she's gone for a lot of drones here. She went very quickly up to 86 drones, but she has kind of survived this stage. HeRoMaRinE is getting a lot done, but losing the Banshees actually does take a lot of sting out of this push. He does have Hurricane Thrusters finishing up very shortly, and there's actually no detection right here, which is a big problem for Scarlett. The Hydras are kind of coming out piecemeal. The detection finally does appear with the Spore, but it gets sniped down by HeRoMaRinE. Groove Spines is done. There's no Hydra speed, though, on the way, which means the Cyclones are just outmaneuvering them. The Cyclones are so glass, but they're so much more mobile. And now we've got a tank that's rallied in. HeRoMaRinE might just run Scarlett over. That's insane.
Yeah, I want to point this out as well. Every single time there's detection, HeRoMaRinE, the first thing he does, he targets it down because he knows, A, more Banshees on the way, and B, how powerful they can be as that additional tech. And now there's a tank here. It's not just the Cyclones shredding the Hydras, it's a tank on top of that as well, and tanks are very, very good against the Hydras, but Lings are going to try to get on top of this. Scarlett looking for the hold, gets on top of the tank, the damage is going to go down, but again, it's 3 Hydras. 3 Hydras do not hold this.
Yeah, but these are really low HP Cyclones. There is actually still a chance for Scarlett to hold. She still hasn't started Hydra speed. She's been so under the gun. No additional upgrades. She does have 1-1 versus 0-0, and that has helped a lot, as well as the Hydra range has helped a lot. She will hold this hatchery. She doesn't lose that many drones. She killed the rest of the Banshees, only 1 of them alive on the field, and HeRoMaRinE has lost 4 of them, but the tempo advantage still goes in the favor of HeRoMaRinE. Scarlett, though, does have some upside in this game. She's got a 5th hatchery done. She starts that +2 missile. She's still ahead in the upgrade timing, and Cyclones are affected heavily by upgrades. And the fact that we don't have, 3, 4, 5 Banshees means that there's less threat for Scarlett to have to deal with mobily, but there is still a chance. Oh, man. Okay, she does reposition the Spore. I was going to say, with how low this hatchery is and where that was, I actually are going to see the Cyclones. They could maybe just go for a dive on the hatchery, but with not much creep on the left side, he can kind of just kite here, and Hydra speed finally starts up. That has been an upgrade that's been missing for so long. Once again, no detection. Scarlett going to try and take the fight, but there's a lot of Cyclones, and that will be a lot of dead Hydras. Overseer finally shows up to provide detection, but that was a rough situation, and it gets sniped down once again. Scarlett, once that Hydra speed finishes up, it will help her out a lot in these fights, but HeRoMaRinE still has the potential to maybe just snowball this even here and now.
Yeah, it's getting a little scarier, right? Because +2 is going to be done soon. Hydra speed is going to be done soon. Yeah, the Ling's on top of it. Scarlett, again, tries to get on top of it. There are tanks that are going to siege up, and they're going to try to get as much damage as they can, but HeRoMaRinE, I'm not going to say the push is actually, I am going to say that the push is starting to stall out at this point. The tanks go down pretty much as they siege. I do like what HeRoMaRiNE's doing, where he's seeing the observers or the overseers, and he's shooting them down immediately there with the Cyclones to, you know, again, to make those Banshees a little bit more powerful. Ooh. But they're not getting enough just yet. Hellion's on the run by. This actually has a little bit more potential. Again, it's only a couple lanes, but the rest of the Hydras are going to show up in time. The thing we got to point out, though, just behind all this, behind this pressure that we're seeing coming in from HeRoMaRiNE, he's got 93 SCVs steadfast. He's on 5 bases. The macro of this man on top of the pressure is just, it's off the charts.
Yeah, this is not the same opener because I believe Maru got away. I didn't actually watch game 1. I didn't get the chance to, but based on what the commentators were saying, Maru got away with a very greedy opener, but he did go up to that insanely high worker count, and it allows you to play this like Zerg. We do see a lot of the Hydras eating some big shots from the Blue Flame Hellions. Siege tanks, though, are not sieged up yet. They will siege now. Oh. They are going to get some massive shots, and the Cyclones doing very well. Scarlett committing into that fight, maybe not realizing there was not just, you know, 2, 3, 4 siege tanks, but there was like 6, and she ends up losing all of her Hydras in that fight. Fungal growths coming in very late, not much damage to them, and HeRoMaRiNE once again has a very strong position, but he's super far on creep, and Lings will do quite well against these tanks. Actually, we even see a Hydra getting the melee range. And this will be a cleanup from Scarlett on this first army, but there's another army on the bottom side. HeRoMaRiNE so confident moving on to creep, but it is starting to kind of be a little bit wasteful, but if he can get in here and get a couple of big shots, could find some massive damage on the economy.
I mean, even as we say that, Steadfast, and yeah, losing tanks is not great. Losing these task forces is maybe not the best thing ever.
Oh my God, 11 Cyclones.
So yeah, he's still building 11 Cyclones at a time. And Scarlett's not going to have the block off in time. This is where the damage starts to get a little bit more. 12 drones go down. But equally as important is the fact that HeRoMaRiNE is trading, well, I was going to say he's trading much better. He was at like plus 10 or plus 8K, I think, at one point. Now it's only about 5 because he did lose those tanks. But his economy has been pretty much unfettered. He's at 94 drone or 94 SCVs. And he's just been trading a little bit better time after time. So this is a, well, you know, no, there are too many Hydras here. So HeRoMaRiNE's going to have to.
Yeah, this is actually really good for Scarlett.
It is. Oh, he's going to get a tank. She's going to get a tank as well, which is really nice. What she's really missing. I love
this creep drop on the top side. Scarlett, one of those players that does a lot of the extra things really well. We talk about a creep spread and complement it, you know, very often. And she's doing an excellent job of respreading it. That is really what has helped her stay in this game and really helped her you know, manage to keep up with HeRoMaRiNE, and she actually does enjoy a decent little army supply lead now. If she could snipe this command center, I don't think she's going to get the planetary, but if she can get the morphing orbital, that'd be really nice. And she will be able to grab it, able to disengage before the tanks get too big of shots. And now she's got Hive done. She also has +1 melee done. There is going to be a big battle mech run by on the top side. If HeRoMaRiNE dives for this hatchery, he should be able to get it, but he will actually back away. Scarlett, oh, she is going to turn around with the Hydras. This is not what you want to be doing, I don't think. There's a lot of tanks here, even though they're unsieged. And now with the rock still up, that's going to be another few free Hydras. Very good pickoffs for HeRoMaRiNE there.
And those Hydras were very much stuck between a rock and a hard place. But I do want to, actually, we don't have time for that because HeRoMaRiNE just continues to get aggressive. Banelings are not going to get incredible connections.
Oh,
but
big flank.
Big flank. Yeah, the tanks are going to siege though, and with the Cyclones right here, it does slow HeRoMaRiNE down, which I think
it does a lot.
Tremendously important. Well, these Hydras are kind of stuck right now. Scarlett's going to knock the rocks down. Cyclones are going to dive right on top of them, and the tanks should siege up as well. So that is again not a good trade for Scarlett in the slightest. And what we're lacking here, she's building more infestors. Steadfast, Hive is done. There's not a single Viper on the way. Certainly not a Viper done. That ability to knock down some of these units, to abduct them to get those trades time over time is kind of eventually what you're looking for against the meching player. But Scarlett doesn't have doesn't have the gas for that, doesn't have the time for that really because of how aggressive HeRoMaRiNE has been. Fungals are not really going to hit all that well as Scarlett goes for a massive surround on top of all these tanks. The Hydras, they need to split a little bit harder. Those tanks, yeah, it's not going to happen. HeRoMaRiNE, the battle mech, Scarlett was prepped for it, but HeRoMaRiNE is too good anyways.
Yeah, that trade around the 4th base of Scarlett, I really thought that there was a couple of things that were very interesting about that because I was looking at the whole situation as it was unfolding, and it looked like First, Scarlett was going to be pretty well prepared for it. She had a lot of good creep spread. She did end up losing a lot of those queens, but she also picked off the banshees early. But HeRoMaRinE did such a good job of retaining those cyclones and keeping the trades very lopsided and very unpleasant for Scarlett. And it really kept her from starting up her 2-2 upgrades and enjoying a solid upgrade timing lead there. Most importantly, much more importantly, that for getting her Hydra speed. If she had her Hydra speed, you know, maybe a minute and a half earlier, then she starts taking way better trades in those early situations. And HeRoMaRinE probably isn't able to secure his 4th base as easily. He isn't able to keep that creep penned back on the left side. He's not able to kind of exercise his will in that game. Scarlett was really close to cleaning that up really solidly, but HeRoMaRinE just applied so much pressure and now finds himself 1 map away from, well, actually, I think if he wins this, he pretty much locks up 1st place in the group. I think if he 2-0s, it's done and dusted because the only player he has to play is Trigger. He would have beaten every other player in the group.
Steadfast, when we getting ready for Katowice, I had many things that I thought were likely, some I thought were possible. HeRoMaRinE going 5-0 in this group was not on that list. Now, again, it's Scarlett can still make a comeback, and we'll see what happens. But HeRoMaRinE's putting himself in a really nice position to find that value. So for now, we're going to move into game 2. It's going to be Golden Aura. It's a pretty good turtle map. Let's see what happens. Bottom right in the red. He's up a game in this series for Mouse. It's HeRoMaRinE.
And his opponent with some impressive macro, some amazing creep spread, but not quite able to get the job done. For the Shopify Rebellion, she is Scarlett. I did really like her game plan for how that worked out, because the 1-1 Hydras they're actually very good against what HeRoMaRinE did, or at least they're very serviceable, and they work against both bio and mech as an upgrade setup and as an opening setup. Of course, you can transition into those ultras if it ends up being bio. You can add on infestors and go for 2-2 upgrades if it ends up being against mech. You can even get potentially a 3rd Evo chamber, even though we didn't see that. But if Scarlett, you know, had been able to more handily get on top of that push, I think we might have seen that that upgrade setup come online.
Yeah, and part of the problem as well, we talk about that setup Steadfast, is that Hydras are great, or that Hydras can be good. They're rather controversial unit, I think in the community, but they can be good, and certainly against this setup, they did a serviceable job for the most part. The problem is the second part of that build is not the Hydra. The second part of that build is adding an infestation pit and getting those infestors out so you can drop the big fungals and really allow those Hydras to get to town. And Scarlett got the 2 infestors out. They were a little bit maybe slower than she would have liked, but hey, she was under heavy pressure. The fungals got nothing done. You know, she goes and she commits them, and by the time she commits them, the Viper, the Hydras are all dead anyways, and then the infestors just kind of die. And she was never able to hit the second part of the build idea. Sure, she got a ton of Hydras out, but she didn't have the infestors on the top. That really is what makes this build idea from Scarlett actually somewhat decent, or strong, I guess.
Yeah, and that's because she was just so heavily pressured. I really think even without the infestors, just Hydra speed with the obviously you'd love to get those infestors out, and they're actually not that big of an investment. I mean, it's 100 for the infestation pit plus the loss of the drone plus 200 minerals, 300 gas, so that's 350 minerals, 400 gas for that, which is a fair bit, but it's more so I think the attention that was heavily pressured. Because obviously, even with that relatively high investment, oh, nice snipe on the creep tumor. Even with that relatively high investment, Hydra speed's only 100. She already had the Hydra Den done. She could have gotten that out, very quickly. And there's no way she didn't have the money for it. She had the money for it off 86 drones. It's just that the mental pressure that gets put on can sometimes, you know, dislodge you a little bit. And I think that's exactly what we saw. So good job from HeRoMaRinE to just really ramp up the aggression. Even though I was a little bit critical of him, you know, losing the Banshees, he kept the momentum up, and that was really difficult to deal with. We are going to see a dive coming on in from HeRoMaRinE. Oh, the Evo Chamber block once again. No, the idiot drone blocks the other one. Oh, yeah, Scarlett, unfortunate right there. HeRoMaRinE able to get another shot. It doesn't kill an additional drone. Only ends up being 3 drones. Could have been so much worse. Like, so much worse.
Given how traitorous those drones were, the fact that it's only 3 drones is like actually pretty good.
Would say idiot drones.
Yeah, oh man, that we've all been there. That does not feel good. But again, nice job for Scarlett to make sure that at the very least it's managed. It does seem like HeRoMaRinE is going for the same idea in game 2 that he did in game 1. We saw the Cyclones popping out here very quickly, second factory on the way. And Scarlett's trying something a bit different in game number 2. We're not going to see the quick rush to Hydras as much. There's a Roach Warren halfway down. And this is a different way to handle it.
Well, this is a really interesting setup on both sides, because we've got HeRoMaRinE not going for the Banshees. It's going to be Viking Liberator, which is a really intriguing way to go into mech, because you almost always see players going into bio behind us. Oh my god, he just picked off a queen. Yeah, the Cyclones show up and are able to find a queen kill. That's big. But more so than anything, this actually leaves HeRoMaRinE very vulnerable to a Roach attack. And HeRoMaRinE might not be expecting this out of Scarlett. And this is not just any Roach attack. This is going to be a queen drop, as far as I can tell. A very tailored build, 63 drones, 5 gases. This is going to be a modified German taxi with Roach speed added on eventually. And HeRoMaRinE is really not well set up to deal with this. No Banshees. It does mean that he gets into the mech more quickly, which in one sense is a very good thing, because the queens were already designed to deal with the Banshees themselves. But I don't know. I'm very scared for HeRoMaRinE right now. But the scan does find the Dropper Lord and sees Overlord speed.
Okay, so here's my question. Is this a big bait?
Oh.
There are lings in that Dropper Lord, not queens. There are 8 lings in that Dropper Lord. Now, you can argue as a...
Well, she knows that she doesn't need the queens across the map, because there are no Banshees. It's just that Liberator. So this is going to be a queen drop at the front. She still is going to dedicate to this the same way. Liberator, by the way, killed 6 drones and is getting a lot of damage done. Ooh, there is going to be a siege tank setting up. Lings will get in on top of the third base. This is going to be a very messy, disjointed fight. I would love to see creep drop at the natural, but of course Scarlett is focused on the main fight. She does lose one of the Overlords somewhere, but she's going to kill a lot of depots of HeRoMaRinE. Both players are going to be supply blocked massively pretty soon.
So she loses Ravagers on the left side, kind of trying to find her way in, but the third base seems destined to lift at this point. More importantly, Scarlett, though, just wants to break the natural. There are tanks here, though, and the Cyclones are getting mass repaired. They're not going to die very quickly. Queens are just going to get dropped on top of them, because why the hell not? Eventually, the Overlord will get dropped down. And HeRoMaRinE, he loses 27 SCVs. Certainly he does. But this does kind of feel like it's starting to stall out. Yeah, the Queens have energy, but that's going to get all spent right now. Roaches are continuing to rally across, but the Cyclones are still here. There's a strong tank line. And there are not enough Ravagers to really knock multiple tanks down very quickly. You need 3 to 1-shot a tank, and we don't even have 3 yet. It was an interesting idea from Scarlett. She got a ton of SCVs.
Scarlett needs to consolidate right now. She needs to, she's letting HeRoMaRinE trade against small portions of her army. She has a ton of stuff, and she's got a big supply lead. Yes, it's Roaches, but she's letting HeRoMaRinE kind of pick away at her army. Here's doing a really good job of needling her constantly. And it is making things very difficult for Scarlett, but she needs to kind of back away a little bit. She was trying to defend that creep spread, but HeRoMaRinE has already kind of broken the position a little bit. Scarlett is allowing herself to be kind of kited against. It's hard to deal with those Hurricane Thrusters, Cyclones. And I was saying I wasn't sure it was the best setup for HeRoMaRinE, but because he got into that upgrade setup so much faster, he is able to take these trades a lot more effectively. But Scarlett, she's going to back away from this. She's been droning up. She does have a big worker lead. 4th base was not made until just now, but Scarlett is going to back away. Infestation Pit on the way. I think she's still in a very good position. She does lose actually 2 Overlords. Oh my God, this Viking is feasting. That's 3 Overlords in the last little bit. Might even get a 4th.
I'd even get a 5th. Really, fourth is guaranteed. There's no transfuse on that queen either. So yeah, it's very awkward. The Cyclone. How many kills does this Viking have? Where's my?
It's up to like 8 kills.
8 kills on the Viking is insane. So the Cyclones are going
really good kiting.
Really good. More Overlords are maybe going to go down on the Cyclones here. And that means Scarlett's supply blocked in an army that needs a lot of supply to be useful. So she will target things down pretty nicely. And this Viking should eventually go down. But this kiting, this hard push coming out of HeRoMaRinE is very difficult for Scarlett to deal with right now. She's got creep on the low ground, but that's like one tumor that she's got access to. So eventually if HeRoMaRinE pushes forward, that can get knocked down. And for the time being, Roach Ravager, you can't, it's really hard to get on top of these Cyclones. They're so fast.
It is really difficult to get on top of those Cyclones. Oh, Ravager able to get saved right there. Good job from Scarlett saving the egg. Once these Infestors pop out, this little setup that HeRoMaRiNE's been doing, this constant needling with the Cyclones will not be an option anymore. Not easily, at least. Oh, he did scout the Infestation Pit. Okay, good call. Oh, man. Scarlett put it in a bit of an awkward position. I understand not expecting that it would be scouted. Oh, good scan. I was going to say, if he moves through these bushes, he is asking to lose a whole lot of army. He is going to keep the push up. That is bold. There is going to be a lot of supply out here for Scarlett. There's a ton of Ravagers too, and he does know it. Okay, Scarlett,
he doesn't know where the army is,
wants to jump this army. She doesn't know where it is, though. She doesn't know exactly where it is, what it is. Oh, she's going to go for the fight. I don't know about this. Corrosive Biles. Oh, they actually don't kill either tank. She will find a couple of tanks on siege. Actually, a lot of tanks on siege. Only able to get 2, I think. Big Fungal Growth does come on down, and the Corrosive Bile combo is attempted. Right now, she needs Lings, I think, in order to try and jump in on top of this army. This is looking really scary for Scarlett, actually, despite the supplies.
Yeah, obviously Roaches and Ravagers are not the... Oh, Burrows. That's not...
Ooh.
I don't think that's the button you're looking for. Obviously, Roaches and Ravagers are not supply efficient, so that's where a lot of this supply is. But even still, this army looks so small for the supply count, and part of that is this, well, Scarlett's up 20 workers here. So if she holds on, her economy's in a great spot. Fungal's going to go down on a ton of these Cyclones. But the follow-up needs to be there, and the Biles are not going to land in time. Scarlett again burrows on top. At this point, it feels intentional, but I don't
know it's
know
not.
why.
Yeah, those are definite misclicks, unfortunately. I think she meant to burrow the Infestors. Speaking of which, there is a burrowed Infestor that watches the army. We do see the scan coming on down, but she is just going to tap out. HeRoMaRinE gets the 2-0 with relentless pressure.